live. Welcome to another episode of Self-FULLness MATters, where we take self care out of the box to engage in conversations about the many ways to wellness. We'll discuss useful strategies to take time to take care of you. I am Coach Robin Renee, proprietress of Alpha to Omega Holistic Therapeutic Services, a wellness lifestyle brand with a mission to educate on natural care for mind, body, and soul, to encourage mindful movement, and to empower you to be well. And I'm always excited for our guests that we have on our show. Extra excited for today's guest. We're talking about Black skincare, and this is Mrs. Dericka Ashley Tillman Jordan, the CEO of Flawless&Brwn Skincare. And I'll allow her to share with you what she wants you to know about her. And on
All
that,
right.
it's on you, Dericka.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We are so excited. Well, I am so excited to be here on behalf of Flawless and Brown. And of course, I have to show off our product. We are an organic skincare brand and we are here to help you heal. We're a holistic skincare brand. We are all about helping you improve not only your skin, though, because we know that the skin is just the outside barrier of who we actually are. So we're actually here to help you heal what's within as well. We carry body butters, body scrubs, body oils, and we have men care, men beard care, and we also carry herbs. So we make teas, and we are just here to help you heal your whole body, your whole mind, body, and spirit. So we are the brand that is here to help you be the best version of you wherever you are on your journey, or whatever you may need us to be. We're here for that. So we're here to promote skincare and self-love. That's what we're all about.
All right, good stuff. And I need to say this: July is Sarcoma Awareness Month, and so we do want to extend prayers, any condolences that are necessary for people who have been impacted by sarcoma. And as always, start normalizing routine healthcare visits. Don't just go when something is hurting or when you're in a crisis and you end up in an
Yes.
emergency room with some people who don't know you. Establish a game
Yep.
plan, establish some kind of history with a healthcare professional, be it Western medicine or be it a natural healthcare provider, but someone who will be able to establish some form of medical record with you. And there are some things that are genetic that are not avoidable, but if you know them early on, you can prepare your body to be able to sustain whatever journey that you'll end up on with whatever condition that you may have. So on that note, we want to make sure that, like I said, we normalize preventive care. And now, Derek, I want to ask you a couple of questions because we just want to, level set. We want to set the stage for today. Um, what was a thorn for you last week, and what was a rose, or thorns and roses? It could be more than one.
You know what? It's our what are the
Thorns or roses from your last week.
It's breaking up again. Yeah, we have been struggling
We're gonna get
with
it. We're
getting
gonna
this
get it.
live to act right. I'm not sure what's going on.
We're gonna get it. Can you hear me at all now?
Now I can hear you. Now I can hear you.
Okay. What was a rose from last week, and what was a thorn from last week?
Okay, there we go. A rose for last week. Honestly, it was a personal rose. I made a decision to complete something along my journey that I just during 2020, being a new mom, and 2020 happening, I decided to masters, and I was very excited about it. I was doing really well. I was making all A's. I was being invited on to have conversations with the university about some of the things that we were learning in education. Just a little backstory: I was an educator for 8 years, so really over 8 years. And so I've decided that I'm going to go back to school because I think it's very important for us to finish things that we start. And this is where I am in my journey right now. So I believe a rose would be the mindset shift that I've had to have to know that I need to go back and complete something that I finished. And I would say a thorn. Um, Maybe a business thorn, just wanting to maybe hear back from certain people. I've been pushing my brand like really intensely, working on partnerships and things like that. And so when I don't hear back from certain things, that can kind of hurt, and you can kind of want certain things to look a certain way. So learning how to pivot, but sometimes it can be a thorn when you don't initially get that response that you want.
Okay, that's good stuff. Well, congratulations on getting back into the education game, and best wishes.
Thank
And I
you.
know you're going to do well along your journey. For me, oh, big roses, big roses. I was able to go outside with no cicadas, with no cicadas attacking me because, baby, these cicadas. We need a permission slip to go outside in the Midwest. I'm like Jesus, and it's kind of like that
I've been
overshadowed
hearing
any
about how crazy
thorns.
these cicadas are.
We need permission to go outside. That's how bad. But I mean, they are calmed down. So, and that kind of like overshadowed whatever thorns I would have. I mean, other than this government and these shenanigans, malarkey, and foolishness that's going on. But yeah, I mean, big roses all last week, every day last week, I was able to get out. Definitely able to get out every day. So that was good. And you get some fresh air. Because I had been going into community center to do my walks every day, and it's nothing like being out in fresh air in nature. So I got a chance to go outside every day last week. So that was good stuff. Good stuff. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you a little bit. You kind of blanked out a little bit on the last part, but I heard good stuff, good stuff.
Okay, yeah. Good stuff. I was able to go outside. So now I would like for
And then
you to
you
share,
you just start you start blanking out again.
but we can hear you clearly, though. We can hear you very clearly.
Okay. Okay, there you go. Now you're back. And I also want to add another rose is I joined your Pilates group this week. And y'all, when I tell you it kicked my butt and I grew an ab. I text her and I was like, I for sure have a new app. So that that is definitely a rose.
Well, welcome to the Pilates posse. Yes, yes. You're gonna grow a few more abs before this is all over. So that is good stuff. That's hilarious, though. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. But what I do want you to share is how did you end up where you are in terms of getting into the natural the wellness care, like the natural wellness care. That's basically what it is because you have an entire lifestyle brand. So it's not like you said, it's not just about the oils, it's an entire brand. So how did you end up on that journey?
How did I end up on a journey of skincare?
Yeah,
Making skincare? Because you blanked
yeah.
out. Okay. Um, it was 2020. I think 2020 gave a lot of people a chance to sit down and figure out who they was. I was a new mom. I was wanting to be very intentional. I was learning a lot. I was reading a lot. Everything in the products was like forever chemicals, and it was just all of this craziness. And I was like, okay, well, I want to buy something that both my son and I can use. I didn't want to worry about his skincare, and I've always been very intentional about my skincare. So I started to look it up, and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of expensive." And I just don't think at that time, I don't think it was a lot of options out there, to be honest. So everything that I was seeing was extremely expensive, or it just didn't feel like it didn't feel like it was fitting my needs. It didn't feel like it was for my skin type. So I'm creative naturally. And so I was like, I can make this. I started YouTubing things. I started looking things up. And I literally I ordered the stuff, went to the store, bought the things that I needed without any ingredient sheet or anything. I just started making my products. And I created this body butter, and I was like, oh, this is good. And I had no clue that it was going to come out like this. And then I started making it and sharing it with my friends and family. And they was like, Dericka, this is really good. And I was like, y'all think so? And now I know that I really felt like that was a spirit led situation. because I was even reading somewhere else that when somebody made a product and it was spirit led, they just put it together. And I had to go back and retrace my steps. I had to make the product multiple times because I couldn't get it back to that original formula that I had created. And then I finally got it. But it took me a little while because I was just doing what I felt like I needed to do. And it came out to be this amazing product. And our body butter is still our best seller. It's this right here, the product that I was showing you guys. It's still our bestseller. So we have enjoyed it a lot. It has been a big part of our journey, and that's how we got here. And then I started to create more products. I started to create. I'm sorry about that. I started to create butters, I mean scrubs, and then I started to create oils. And then it grew. It grew into what my family needed. So my daughter was experiencing some dry skin when she was an infant, so I created a product for that. My husband has a beard, and he was experiencing like dry, brittle
Mhm.
beard during the time when we had just had the baby, so I created a product for that. So I just started to create the things that we needed. And I know very well that when you're needing something, somebody else is also needing that same thing too. So I just started to put it out from there. It was just a faith walk from that point on.
Yeah, and it happens like that. So, well, I mean, other people don't know this, but my company originally started off as a mobile spa business, and I made body products as well. And it was as a result of my son. Now, my daughter wasn't that bad; she had a few patches of eczema, but my son, well, Savon, I mean, he had quite a few things going on as far as his skin was concerned. So we had to step away from a lot of commercial products. Even now, parents of little babies, listen up. Even when the product says it's for a baby, if you start to look at those ingredients, those are not good ingredients to be putting on the baby's skin. And so, if you're just curious or if you're wondering, like, can I really do this? You can start with something very basic, like some olive oil. Like, you don't have to be a chemist to go and create some products. Now, eventually, you'll get the hang of it. But if you look at the ingredients in baby products, because that whole lavender situation, that ain't no lavender. That's not lavender. Because when I first started smelling lavender, I'm like, this don't smell like the lavender that the big company, I'm not going to say their name because I'm not giving nobody no plugs other than Flawless and Brown. I'm just saying. Just saying. But when you start to smell that, even though lavender has different strains, what they're putting in those baby products is nice. And then that mineral oil and that's blocking the skin. And so what it does is it puts you in the mindset that I got to use more of this because it's not working. Well, it's not working because it was not designed to go on the baby's skin. I'll just say that. So that's how I eventually, got into the business of skincare. And just through the years, the whole supply and demand thing, it wasn't panning out for me to keep it as a business, and I went more service based, but I still make my own body products. And the way I look at it is if I can eat it, so if I can ingest it, I'm cool. I can put that on my skin. If I can pronounce it, right? If I can recognize, the smell, because you have some commercial products that they don't smell the same on everybody, for one, because we all have different, chemical makeup. But you can buy the same product at a different time, and depending on how that batch was made, you ain't even smelling the same thing. So you're just way safer. So parents, well, this is just with anybody, but especially people with small children is, who I want to make sure that you get this. Don't get intimidated by it, like I'm going to make my own product. You can go to the grocery store, the grocery store, and grab you a bottle of extra virgin olive oil off the shelf. You can get you some avocado oil, you can get you some coconut oil. If you like baby oil, grab you some coconut oil. I mean, you can do those sorts of things. Start, like Dericka said, start Googling, start YouTubing things, and they are way safer and much more healthier for your child's skin and yours. Can you still hear me, Dericka? Okay.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And that's exactly what I ended up doing. I went to my local markets. I'm also vegan. I'm plant-based lifestyle, and so I shop at Fresh Market or Sprouts or any of those types of stores. They have sections that's literally made for you to experience and reach out and figure out these things for your body. Like they have a whole section you can go in and you can get your organic olive oil. You can get your, your shea butter. You can get your coconut oil. You can go and get the things that you need to. I have customers who get my product and they add their own essential oils into it. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can make it yours. You can make it however you want to make it. But I completely agree with you. If I can't pronounce what's the ingredients, if I can't pronounce the ingredients in the product, I start to get a little iffy. I'm like, okay, what is this actually doing for my skin? How is this actually affecting me? Because what one thing I like to remind people is our skin is our largest organ. It's our largest organ. So what we
Mm-hmm.
put on it gets into our body, it gets into our bloodstream. And so it affects us. It affects us in more ways than we actually give it credit for. If we're dealing with all types of things, we're dealing with all types of issues and stressors in our daily life. You got the wind blowing on me right now. It's dirt particles being carried by this wind. So all of these things actually affect what your skin is performing like. So it's very important to not only know what type of moisturizers and things you're putting on your skin, but how to exfoliate, how to actually care for your skin. What are you using on your skin? So what are you actually doing to the skin and how is it going to show up for you?
And along those same lines of what you're saying with the skin, being the largest organ, the skin tells, I'm going to say, maybe the most animated story about what's going on in your body, right? Because you can see it, like that sits on top, and it's telling the story of what's going on inside that you can no longer hold in. There's only so many times that you can put cover up. You can put a cover up on it, and you're going to have to address it. And you did mention, about being plant based. One, share with us how you ended up going there, and then how are you tying that into your skincare products? Can you hear me?
Hold on one second. I didn't hear that last part. Hold on one second.
Okay.
I can hear you. I'm sitting outside having this
Okay.
conversation with you all, and some people are taking a photo next to me, and it's a whole family of them. So just give me one second. I'm sorry. I mean, they just totally disregarded the fact that I'm on this call, but some people are taking a photo next to me, and it's a whole family of them. So just give
Okay.
me one second. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I mean, y'all, it's like 10 of them. They did cartwheels and everything on the wall. Okay, back to our regular schedule.
Correct. So how did you end up on the plant-based journey, and then how are you tying that into your skincare?
So honestly, the plant based journey just kind of happened. In the beginning of 2022, I was fasting with my church, and I had already decided to cut out red meat. So I was really only doing fish at that point. I had cut out chicken, so I was only doing fish. And then we were fasting. And I was like, what else can we actually fast from? And so we was like, let's cut out the fish. And then after our fast, I believe it was a 21-day fast. We was like, we can do this. We can just make this a lifestyle. And so I decided to go plant based at that time. And so it's been an amazing experience for my skin. I've actually been plant based for 2 years now, and I have two children, and I went through my last pregnancy completely plant based. That was an amazing experience, and it allowed me to be able to compare a before and after because I have a 4 year
Mm,
old that I was not plant based with. And now that I have the 1.5 year old, being able to see the difference in in her health and mine, the way my body responded, the first pregnancy, swollen ankles, just all of the wide nose. I had discoloration of my skin. And so I experienced a lot even after giving birth. The baby weight was real, and I was actually a little happy with it because if you know me, I'm naturally slim, and so I had the big butt and I had everything to go along with it. But when I went through the pregnancy being plant based, my snapback was different. I mean, just completely. It didn't even look like I had a child. My skin did not discolor in the same way. I did not experience any swelling. I did not have the wide nose. So just like those little things, my hair I did not lose my hair like I did the first time. And I know a lot of the times they like to say that there's a difference between boys and girls, but I honestly think it is a difference between how you just care for your body along the
Sure it
journey
is.
of being able to carry. So I think it's been very beneficial for my body and for my skin. I have noticed a huge difference in my skin. And I want to point out that, sometimes we like to think that products can fix your problem all the time. Sometimes genetically, we're able to have clearer skin or not as many skin issues. But on the flip side of that, you can have those issues because of genetics. And so just being able to know what works best for you, like plant based works for me, but someone might not necessarily have to go plant based to achieve some of their skin goals that they want to achieve. So, one of the things that we definitely try to encourage is finding a dermatologist, seeking help outside of yourself. Like, go and figure out more about your body and then take that information and do what you need to do with it, because you can get the information and then you can cure yourself. Even look it up. Like, YouTube University is at your service. So being able to get the information that you need and then go and solve your own problems.
Yeah, that is so true, that you say that. And I can't emphasize it enough to not be intimidated by um your lack of knowledge doesn't mean that you cannot find out what to do. It just means you don't know today. So on my walk
Yep.
today, I was listening to, well, like you said, YouTube University. Yes, that's my school. But I see YouTube University as undergrad and TikTok as grad school. Like that's the advanced, the lessons over there on TikTok. So I was listening
Yes,
to this
TikTok is
naturopath.
a space now.
Yes. So I was listening to this naturopath, and he was talking about how when you look at your doctors, and I don't even know if a lot of people pay attention to this, your doctors are going through the same thing you're going through, right? You have doctors that are overweight, doctors who may smoke, doctors who take cholesterol meds, high blood pressure medication. Like we're all in this thing together in this Western, medicine society. Like everybody is, not everybody, but the majority of people are subject to that, and they're learning from books. They're learning from books that are updated occasionally, right? It's a little different than when you're talking about natural healing. Yeah, there's a history, in natural healing, and there are just some things, just like with medicine, some things that are known that have been working through the years. Now, part of the major difference between, the medication and the herbal remedies, the herbs are going to work with your body. They're going to help your body to do what it was going to naturally do. So it's a catalyst. Medication is going to make your body do what it wants you to do, if that makes sense. So if you have something for a headache, like it's going to make your body, those neurons and those pain receptors is going to make those calm down. Like it's going to do that. Whereas if with an herb, some people can alleviate headaches with lavender. For some people, they need peppermint, right? It's different things that different people can use, herbally. But you also have to understand, if you think about the oak tree, right? How long it takes for an oak tree or bamboo. Bamboo stays under the ground for what is it, like 5 to 7 years before it shoots up, and then when it shoots up, it's off. It's off and going. But if you look at that, you have to be patient when it comes to you learning some things, but don't get intimidated by that because it's your body. It is your body, and you want to know what's going on with your body and how you can heal yourself. Because if it all blows up, we might end up out in the jungle somewhere. I'm just saying, how are you gonna know what? You can't run to the store. You can't run to the corner store and say, "Well, I need this. I need." You may have to figure this thing out. When you're out there. So don't be intimidated by trying to figure out everything. Start with what's the most pressing, because it can be overwhelming. It can be over like, oh, I got dandruff, oh, I got eczema, oh, I got dark elbows, I got dark knees, I got, like, it could be a lot going on. Start off with one thing, just one thing. I read, Iyanla Van Zant, her, I think it's Lessons in the Valley, when she was talking about standing in front of this mountain, instead of being overwhelmed by the mountain, look down at what's right in front of you, that rock, that grain of sand. Pick up the one that you can move first. That's it. Don't look up. Don't look up and see how huge it is. You will eventually get there and be able to take care of that. So we want to encourage you to look at this as a journey, and it's not a quick fix. Nope. Let me rephrase that, because there are some herbs that take you somewhere real quick that you don't want to go. Just saying. Just saying. We want you to be careful, but just understand, when you're talking about healing your body from the inside out, your food, like Dericka is saying, it does play a big role. And if you're like, well, I don't want to be
Yep.
vegan, I'm not trying to be, ain't nobody trying to make you vegan. Just be mindful of what you eat.
Yep.
That's
That's
it.
all it
Be
is.
mindful of what you
Everything
eat.
is about mindfulness. And
Hmm.
like you said, everything things work differently for different people. One of the experiences, I like what you said about the doctors. Doctors are they're people, they're human. And one thing I like to point out is doctors are practicing medicine. They're literally
Practicing. Yes,
practicing.
honey. Yes,
How many
yes.
times have you gone in or heard stories when somebody say, well, or a doctor response is, well, I don't know what that is, or I don't know what to tell you, because they might not have had that experience personally yet. They might have to go back to a book. They might have to talk to another doctor in that practice who've had some experience with that type of situation that you're dealing with. So w- one experience that I had was on my wellness journey when I was beginning to be very intentional about it. I was going to the chiropractor and I went to an acupuncturist, and it was the best experience because the first thing they did when I came in, they told me to lick my tongue out. And when I licked my tongue out, this lady told me more about myself than my doctor ever has. And the entire time I've been
Really?
at the doctor, she was like, "You like to eat peanut butter?" And when I tell you, I am the peanut butter spoon in the jar peanut butter person. And I was like,
Wow.
I had never had anyone diagnose me from actually looking at my body. She was able to ask me questions, and she was like, "Do you experience this?" She literally named almost everything that I was experiencing, and I didn't. The only thing I had to do was open my mouth and show her my tongue. I didn't have to tell her
Mm.
anything. It was the most amazing experience. So that's one of the things I've encouraged people to go out and do too. Find other ways of or find other practices of medicine. We're so used to doing it the one way that we know how to do it that we don't realize that there are so many other methods out here, but we have to be willing to be open and receptive to them. We have to be willing to try. We have to be willing to go out and explore and figure out what works best for you, because that worked well for me. She was able to give me some pills, and I can't remember the exact name of it, but it was basically going to help me level out the amount of it helped me level out how much peanut butter I was eating and how I can properly like balance out my levels in my body. So, it was even useful to hear that because like I said, I had never been told that going into a regular doctor before, Western medicine before. I would go in and I would have complaints. One of the biggest things that I was having, especially growing up, I would stand up. If I stood up too fast, I would get really lightheaded
Hmm.
and I could not like
I think you're freezing. I don't know if you can hear me, Dericka, but you look frozen on my end. I don't know. You guys tell us, can you see me or can you hear Dericka if you're tuned in? Because she's frozen on my end. Yeah. So let us know if you're watching, if you could hear me or if you can hear Dericka. Because one of us may have to sign out. So let me let her know that she's frozen on my end. Are you back? Yep. You can see. Okay, Dericka is frozen. Okay. So, hey, you got me until Dericka comes back in. But also in terms of the Western medicine, what she was talking about, Western medicine, and looking into other options. My experience, my back used to lock up on me when I was younger, and I used to get these muscle spasms, and I didn't know what it was related to until I became an adult. And once I became an adult, I had a situation where my back just totally locked up and I could barely move. So I ended up going to a chiropractor. So Derek, I'm just adding on to what you were talking about, checking into other modalities. So I ended up going to the chiropractor and they diagnosed me with lumbar facet syndrome. And what that was my musculature in my lower, my back, the lumbar region, and my pelvis, the muscles were actually compensating for what my spine and my pelvic girdle should have been doing. So, which is
Mm.
what gave me that little twist. So I went in and they gave me the if you all never been to a chiropractor, now the first time I was like, if this man jumped down on me one more time. But when they jump on you and you get that crack, I was like, Lord Jesus. Then the second time I had a little bitty lady. So I'm thinking I was gonna be fine. And she was, I mean, she was little, but my back was but they figured it out. And so what it was a result of, and what they told me, which I didn't share with them at the time, Dericka, like you said, when the lady looked at your tongue, they said that that syndrome is more than likely the result of some past trauma, an impact, like a was like a forceful impact that basically wedged those bones in that direction. Well, you know what it was? I was outside playing with my older brother and the older kids on the block. Matter of fact, you know the vacant lot next to that was next to Granny Jean's house. It was a tree in the back in that alley, and there was a stump in the
Wow.
ground, and I fell out of the tree onto the stump onto my back.
Ooh.
But I couldn't tell because then they would have got in trouble. The older siblings, they still have me doing all kinds of stuff. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. If y'all want to know about what happens to the youngest in the family, you know, with all these siblings.
Okay.
But if I would have went in the house and told my mama, then everybody would have had to come in the house. So I basically,
Everybody had to go in after that.
so I was a little kid, and they told me this. I think I was 29. I don't know if I had more than you. I don't think I had kids. I don't think I by that time I was either 28 or 29. So you're talking about a 20-year injury that I'm thinking, you know, as a cheerleader, as an athlete, you know, as a swimmer, as a gymnast. So I'm thinking this is something that I'm doing because of these sports that I was in, but it was the result of a trauma. But that's what the chiropractors told me. So I believe in going
Yep.
to, you know, additional modalities. Sure, if you have insurance, or even if you don't, if you have, you know, insurance, if you have public insurance, still go to get a baseline established.
Yep.
Don't just
And you know
go
what?
because I have.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, you know what? A dentist told me once because I didn't have insurance coming out of college, and I needed to get some work done on my teeth. And he was like, "What took you so long to come in?" And I said, "Well, I didn't have any money." He said that you. He was like, "That didn't stop you from doing everything else you needed to do. You still bought
Hmm.
shoes. You still did this. You still." He was like, "You didn't prioritize." So I just want to encourage people that even when they don't have it, your health is a priority. And so if we get in the habit of making sure that we prioritize our health, you will make the sacrifices that's necessary. You cannot buy something so that you can invest in your health.
The
It's just worth it.
$20 cup of coffee. You cannot buy that $20 cup
You
of coffee.
know how many people go to Starbucks every day and is spending
We ain't
more than
naming
that,
no
and it's
brands.
like
We ain't naming no
listen,
brands.
you're
We
right,
ain't
you're
naming
right.
no
But how many
brands.
people are going to get coffee every day and spending money? And it's like you can literally invest in yourself, but you have to prioritize that. And I think another thing that we have to talk about is health is not always prioritized in the Black community. A lot
It's
of the
not.
times we we try to push through, I'll be okay. Or you get those remedies, you drink one of those drinks and you go lay down like your grandma tell you to go do,
Right.
so
Right.
you we have to actually like change the narrative of that. We have to talk about, I have a problem and I need to go see the doctor about it. Not that, if I go to the doctor, I'm going to come out with more problems than I went in. I think most of the time, in a lot of the situations, those problems are there. We're just afraid for those problems to come out and to actually
That's
face
what I
them.
was going to say. It is the fear. Well, one, it's the fear, but
It's
it's
the
actually
fear.
legitimate. It's legitimate
Yeah.
because
Yep.
we already
Yeah.
know that
It's
there's a
rooted.
difference in terms
It's
of the
rooted.
treatment. Yeah. Yeah. The difference in the
Yes.
treatment that we receive than, you know, other people. So we do know
Yep.
that. But at the same time, use the fear as a motivator to get you to go and check out what's
Yep.
going on because what could be happening is it could be something that started as a
Yep.
little P, right? You find out
Yep.
what the P is, you can take care of that, but then it turns into a boulder because you
Yep.
didn't take care of it, and then now it has gotten and it has seeped out into other systems of your body. Because our bodies
Yep.
are amazing. I mean, the bodies are, I
It
mean,
will
God's
literally,
greatest creation.
it's created to do what it needs to do for itself. But a
Yeah,
part of a part of our bodies being able to do that is a part of us giving it what it needs, putting the right
yes,
things in it, getting rest, movement. These are all things that help our bodies function the way that they need to function. So I agree. And another thing that we also have to be aware of is sometimes we feel like if we ignore something, it goes away, and that's not true at all. it gets bigger.
Right. Right, right,
Your
right.
body is not going to decide to be like, oh, okay, well, we're not going to pay attention to this, so I'm not going to hurt you anymore. You might start to suppress the pain. You're so used to dealing with it that you don't even realize that this is now it's become a part of your everyday routine. And I want to piggyback on the choice to go plant based. So I stopped drinking milk and eating cheese, and so that was a dairy is a huge part of why our bodies react the way that they react in a lot of cases. It was things that was happening in my body that I was so used to happening that when I stopped adding those things in, I was like, oh, this changed. I would have never known it had I not eliminated that.
Yes.
So a lot of the times we don't even know what our bodies are capable of because we've never really given it a chance to show up for us the way we need to show up because of all types of reasons, tradition. This is like just how we're used to living, what we're used to doing. And so you learn so much when you actually spend time on self-care. And self-care is so layered. And to refer back to the products and even what you were saying about the trauma, it's like we go through life, we experience things, and we don't actually sit with the things or treat ourselves the way that we need to treat ourselves. We're experiencing different things. I know at your age, I'm sure when you failed, you didn't know to go massage your back or to go do the things that you needed to do to
I
actually
couldn't
help your
because they
body
wouldn't let me go
recover.
in the house. I couldn't because they wouldn't let me go. They made me sit on the side. I was like, I'm like injured. They made me sit on the side because I could not go in the house and tell my mama what happened because the whole
and
block was probably gonna get a beat down.
and
Y'all
so
got my
like
baby out there in that tree.
right, right. Because then it was gonna be everybody's fault at that point. But I think that just goes to show how important it is for us to educate our kids. Even one of the things that we've done with Flawless and Brown is we've gone into spaces where we've worked with preschoolers and educating them about self-care and self-love. I had a class. I taught them how to make some body butter, so they saw the whole
Hmm.
process, and we turned it into. I used to be a science teacher, so we turned it into a whole science lesson. So I had the scientific method chart out, and I was explaining to them, oh, this is a solid melting into a liquid. I say that to say, if we educate, especially starting earlier, then we're building better habits that will last longer and that will allow them as adults or growing into adults to actually know how to take care of their body and give their bodies what they need.
That is true. And I wanted to say something about the milk when you were talking about the milk. So when I started moving away from all of the traditional food items, that I grew up on. I mean, my people from the South, I was born and raised in Chicago, but my people from the South, I mean, that's just, what we knew. That was a tradition. But my mentor at the time, who was my teacher at the time when I was learning herbology and aromatherapy, my son had all kind. We remember Savannah had this whole
Yep.
list of all kind of things that he couldn't eat, and he was two, and he was like drinking milk probably about a gallon, maybe 2 or 3 gallons in a week. And she said, stop giving him that milk. So of course, I'm a young mom. I'm like, but this is what the doctor. She was like, he is not a calf. You are not a cow. Like if that's not your milk, then don't. He was drinking it, drinking it, drinking. Because he was nursed and he didn't even like a bottle or whatever. He went straight from that to a cup. Like he wasn't interested in no bottle, no pacifier, nothing. So she said, stop everything. Trust
Yep.
me on this. And I trusted her. God rest her
Yep.
soul. As Dr. Beverly Nicholson. She said, stop giving him. It was, I mean, cheese a little, but that milk was his thing. He
That
was
milk.
stuck on
Yeah.
that milk. She said, stop giving him everything and only give him water. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
only give him. She was like, he is not going to stop. I'm like, this is a little baby. This is good. I'm thinking, so for a day, it was like he had to go on a fast. She was like, you got to clean his system out.
Yep.
All that
Yep.
congestion, all that scaly skin. And she was like, so we did the water. She was like, okay, introduce some rice, just some plain rice. Just give him some plain rice. So introduce the plain rice. Then we went to the plain potatoes and like we did that kind of stuff. And then she said, if he has to have something, give him some apple juice. Like make it real
Yeah.
simple. Apple juice, do
Yep.
a half and half to reintroduce. Man, within like 2 weeks, his skin was clear. She was like, that's what it was. It was all that dairy, all that mucus and all that stuff. She was like, yeah, no,
Yep.
you don't need to do that. So I had to pull him from that. And that's when we started moving, more into that plant-based, area because I mean I didn't know. It's just, I'm a new
Right.
mom, these are kids and this is what the people tell me to give. But now I would be doing the same thing with somebody else, if they would ask me a
Yep.
question like, don't do that to your baby. But
It's
yeah.
what we're taught. We were told. I mean, commercials with our favorite celebrities and athletes at the time. milk builds strong bones. And so you
Milk
think that
does
this is
mighty
what
good.
you need. You think that this is what you need. And you find out when you start to seek. A lot of the times, you were a parent that said, okay, my child is having an issue, let me go find some other help, because I'm being told one thing but I'm seeing another. Sometimes it's easy for us to just be like, well, I don't know what's wrong with his skin, and just keep it moving as if it's going to heal itself. And I think a lot of the times people get stuck there. So again, like, I encourage going to explore. You you
Hmm.
never know what information you may come across that can change your life or change someone else's life, and introduce you to a new lifestyle. Because once you have that new lifestyle, that new mindset shift, it opens you up to so many other things. And I think, you know choosing a more intentional lifestyle when it comes to eating, it 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 can change so many other things for you. It can change so many other things for you. So yeah,
Well,
kudos to you.
let me tell you
Even at
let
your
me
young
tell you my
age, like,
story.
yeah, I'm not okay with my baby skin looking like this.
It was going left. I was like, yeah. But okay, wait. First, I want to give a useful strategy because Dericka did mention something about going to the dentist, and we know that a lot of times we don't have that dental coverage. Get creative. Go to a dental school. If you go to a dental school, you have the residents that are about to graduate. They would need a mouth to work on. So that's one way. That's a useful strategy. But in terms of this whole new world, if you're talking about opening up, now that I'm very, very mindful of what I eat, my family is like, we gonna get kicked out. Like, please don't get us kicked. They say I get us kicked out of restaurants. I don't. So in my defense, what happens is if I'm there and there's something on the menu and the ingredients are not there, I do want to know. So I will ask the server. Sometimes the server won't know. So then that's when we have to talk with the chef. And then they like, oh God, we about to get kicked out. We're not getting kicked out. So what I had just decided to do, this has been, man, at least 5 years, if not 10. I'm just gonna look for a vegan restaurant. Wherever I go, just because there's a totally different consciousness behind the food that's made in a vegan restaurant, and those chefs want to answer your questions. They want to educate you on what's in the food and what it can do for your body. I'm not trying to offend nobody that's making my food and then they go behind a wall while I'm asking questions. I'm good. Just bring me a cup of hot water and I'll be fine. I'll get something to eat. But you're right, it does open up a totally different thing. And I'm not judging anybody for what they eat. You can eat whatever it is you want to eat because it's a journey and you have to be ready. You have to be ready to go in that area, or even if you want to just test out, okay, well, let's see what this plant-based, thing is about. And you may say, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm gonna go back over here. Put your left toe in, take your left toe out. Put your right toe in, take your right toe out. You have to do it, in those steps as opposed to jumping off the deep end, because what will tend to happen is those things that you already know keep they're on repeat in your mind and they're blocking you from learning something new, as
Something
opposed
else.
to you
Yep.
just being open, like,
Yep.
let me just see, if this will work, because you don't really know. And you heard what happened with somebody else, right? Well, I heard
Yep.
that when this person did,
Yep.
maybe it just wasn't right, for their body. So yeah, so just stay open. That's a useful
Yep.
strategy. Just stay open. And
Yep.
instead of spending a lot of money, this is another useful strategy. Instead of spending a lot of money on buying all these ingredients, because I be watching them cooking videos. I ain't gonna cook nothing they cook. I just love watching them. I do. I save them and everything. If my food got more than 5 ingredients, trust, I'm not interested. So if I share something with you that I cook, it took less than 20 minutes and it's probably less than 5 ingredients. I mean, I'm not interested in that. That's, a whole nother story. But what I do like to do is I like to hear what's happening when people are cooking. And most, like I said, most people who are making either vegan meals or plant-based meals, there's a reason. It's like, well, this is why I have Brussels sprouts in this, and this is why I have broccoli in this, and this is why, because these meals are actually healing, and the food is like really good. So instead
Yep.
of going out and spending that money, right, saying, and you go out and you get something, and it's like, this is horrible, and you're going to throw it away, or you're going to force yourself to eat it, try a vegan restaurant first. Go to a plant-based restaurant first. A lot of them actually have samplers,
Yep.
right? They'll have a sampler platter or what, or they'll actually let you sample the food. And a lot of people don't know that. If you want to go in and you're just wondering what this tastes like, and you can let them know, well, I'm, on this new journey, and I want to try. It's I don't know. Maybe it's the plants. I'm just saying the plants be making people happy. They
They
don't
do.
be
They
all
help
uptight.
ground you. They help
They
ground
don't
you
be,
in a different
but
type of
vegan
way.
chefs don't be uptight. They don't be uptight. I love talking to vegan chefs. I mean, they do not be uptight about the food. It's like, oh my God, and I use this, and I'm like, really? I be listening to all that, but I'm gonna come back and order it from you. I ain't gonna buy all that stuff. I'm just not. I'm not. I'm helping the business out. I'm just saying, I'm helping you out in your
Right.
business, in your ministry. Because cooking is, I mean, it's a whole ministry, and to love it,
It
I, I
is.
don't,
Oh,
I
it
don't
is
love the labor
100%.
of it. Yeah, I don't love the labor of it. I love eating well. I don't love the labor of cooking, and you have to be there in order for you to get all the. Oh, I don't get that. I get that when I eat it now. Now, if somebody else is that passionate about the food, when I buy their food, I get that. I get that feeling. Like you can feel the love and the intention that a
Yes.
plant-based, chef, has actually put into the food. So I love that part of the journey. I do.
Yep. Yep, and I think I'm really big on energy exchange too. I
Yes,
know during that
ma'am.
time frame of me going vegan, my husband and I was like, it was certain places we would order from, but we did a lot of cooking on our own. Like we really started to get more comfortable with that because we was like, we know what energy we're putting into this. People touching my food, and I think 2020 even helped a lot of people kind of start to decide like, well, I can just make this at the house. I can do this by myself. I can do this on my own, and I know what I'm dealing with. I know who I'm dealing with. And so it's just a better experience sometimes. But I will say my husband is more of the cook. I have my moments, but I need assistance sometimes. So I have my handy cookbook. And then I have a plant-based cookbook that I love to refer back to that helps me kind of explore. He's naturally one of those people, he will put these seasons together and I'd be like, how did what made you put that together? What he'll
Mm-hmm.
put honey on something. I was like, I would have never thought to do that. But I think that's it's fun to explore. And I don't think you can really go too wrong when you're dealing with like your natural ingredients with your plants and things like that. So I think it's fun. I think it's fun to explore. And I also agree with being able to just introduce it into your routine. You don't have to dive completely in. I didn't dive completely in. I took baby steps. I cut out steak and then I cut out chicken and then I cut out fish. And so I did it in little spurts. And I will be honest, that cheese one was hard. It was hard for me to let go of the cheese. I was
But
still
see,
going to
me,
restaurants,
me and
ordering
cheese,
stuff, knowing they
but,
had a
but
little
but
cheese in it.
we
And I
were
was like,
besties.
I was a fake plant-based person for a long time because I could not let go of that cheese. It was serious.
But see, okay, so my challenge with cheese, we were besties for years. That was like 20 some years ago. But I started replacing mine with hummus before the vegan
Mm.
cheese. Because when I tried the vegan cheese, because the vegan cheese of today was not the same
It
20
done
years ago.
came a long way. Vegan food in general has
Baby,
come a very long way. Let's say that.
baby. That vegan cheese from 20 years ago was not the thing. And when I was like, you know what? Let me just. So I started using hummus to replace that. So hummus would be my spread. And I mean, I
Okay.
just made the decision. I made the decision that this is just not going to work because when you think about, the ooey and the gooey and what it's sticking to when it gets on the inside of you. And once I see something, it's hard for me to unsee it. Like it really is. It's hard for me to unsee it and to get past it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm okay. It's like people with certain habits, like you said, Dericka, that whole, if I see you do something, this for my friends, my family, and everybody, but if I see you do something, you ain't got to worry about me eating none of your food. You ain't got to worry about that.
That
So I'm just saying, I'm being honest. I mean, yeah, if
yeah.
I see you do something that you shouldn't have been doing with that food, I'm good. I'm a pass. I'm a pass. But I mean, we come from them families where people like, well, what you gonna eat? If you didn't prepare me nothing, I don't have nothing to eat here. I got my food with me. That's why. Well,
Right.
now you see why I
Right.
used to carry my food with me everywhere, right? Now you see, Dericka, right? You on this journey. That's why I carry my food. Either I'm
100%.
gonna eat. I'm gonna eat
100%.
before I get there, or I'm carrying it with me. That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
And it's funny that you say that because you did start a plant-based journey way before it was a thing. You was the first person I knew who had switched over to that lifestyle. So we would come over, my brother and I would come over to my godmother's house, and the options in the refrigerator, we was like looking at each other like, what are we gonna do?
Ain't no hot
And
dog,
of
no
course,
ma'am,
you
no
would buy
sir.
us the things that we needed. You would buy us the stuff that we needed, because you knew that it was certain things that we wouldn't eat, and so you made sure that we were able to eat. But it exposed us to so much more that I didn't even appreciate at the time. And so like looking back, I do remember the options not being that great. Vegan food has come a long way, y'all. That stuff is not
Girl,
always good. But
yeah.
I appreciate your dedication to it because you decided like this is what I'm going to do, and you did it and you stuck with it. And you stuck through a phase of vegan food that I know was we just know it wasn't that good. But you was like, I'm dedicated. This is what I need to do for me, and it is what it is. And I appreciate that. I think that even helps me along my journey right now. So many times when I'm getting ready to head out the house, I'm packing stuff up. Like I travel with a cooler. I have stuff for the kids because you just never know. And I can't risk going into a space that's not catered to us. And we still want to
Yep.
be in that space, but I still need to be able to eat. I still need to be still need to be able to give my kids what they need. And so my kids, like I said, they're plant based. My son was exposed to, you know, different types of food during his time when I wasn't plant based, but we've switched him over, and he's found his own reasons to eat plant based, and I let him live with that. He loves
Hmm.
animals, and although this was not my personal reason to stop eating, to be plant based, it wasn't because of um the animal cruelty, and I that probably sounds terrible, but I didn't watch any of those videos purposely because I was still like, nah, I'm gonna eat my chicken. I don't need to see no videos. I didn't want to see it, so I didn't because I knew I was like, it's gonna make me feel bad, and then I'm gonna feel bad when I'm eating, so I didn't even want to watch it. But my son loves animals. And so I had to explain to him one day because he was like, why can't we eat that? And I was like, well, it's made from animals. And he was like, so what they do to the animals? And I was like, well, baby, they had to kill it. He was like, no, I'm okay. I don't be eating that no more. I love animals. He wants to be a veterinarian. And so that was his way of like, all right, I'm choosing. And I hear him advocate for himself. And it's so amazing. When he talked to people, he was like, I don't eat that. I'm plant based. I don't eat stuff that's made from animals. And I'm like, all right, son, and I'm teaching him, you don't have to judge people. He was like, well, why do they want to eat that? I was like, because that's what they want to do. You don't have to judge anyone for their decision on their journey. Just know that why you're doing it is why you're doing it, and that's okay. So, yeah, the
And so
vegan
I want to
journey,
say
the
this
plant based
about,
journey.
and I want to say this about the whole plant-based vegan thing, right? So
Yeah,
I don't subscribe to a lot of labels. So no, I am not
yeah,
vegan. It's
yeah.
been years since I've eaten, any type of animal product because veganism is an entire lifestyle.
It
Plant-based is
is.
a dietary thing. So just we
Yes,
want you guys
you're
to
right.
understand that, right? If you're doing it for
Yes,
because
yes.
I'll put some honey in my tea,
Yep,
vegans won't.
yep,
I'm gonna wear some leather shoes and sit on some leather furniture and wear fur.
yep.
Vegans won't.
100%. I'm glad you
So,
made
so
that
that's the
clear.
difference. That's the
It
difference.
is.
Because people get confused because they say, "Well, but you don't eat this and you don't eat." I'm not, and I'm not claiming, and nobody has ever heard me claim that I am
Yep.
vegan. I go to vegan restaurants because I love the consciousness behind the way that
The
vegan
food.
food is
Yep.
prepared. That's wherever I go. As soon as I get to whatever city, say I'm looking up a vegan because I don't have to go through a lot of shenanigans, malarkey, and foolishness to figure out what's going on in my food. So let's just be, we want to be clear on that.
Yes. I'm
Plant based
glad you
is
cleared
what
that
you're
up.
eating. Correct.
Yes.
It's yeah.
Yes.
So plant
100%. Because
based
I've had people
is what
say
we're
that to me
talking about.
before. They was like, "Oh, well, you can't eat honey," and I was like, "Well, no. Let me be clear. I do.
Correct.
I like honey, and I will. I like nice things, and so it might be made from leather or something like that. So yes, being very intentional on being plant based is a dietary life. That's an option. I mean, that's a choice
Correct.
of mine. I'm
Correct.
choosing to be plant based because that's how I want to eat for my body's health and my body's needs. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Correct. So when people say, "Well, I'm going vegan," not with them red bottoms on you. I'm just saying, like you, 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 every
Not
little
with
step
that
you
purse you
take,
got. Not with your
not
favorite.
with,
Not
not
with
with
that
your
favorite
Birkin,
designer.
you're not gonna. Correct. Correct. So just so you guys understand that, so plant
Yes.
based. If you're choosing plant based options, it's more for dietary or health reasons. Veganism, it's a consciousness. It's an
Oh,
act.
that's a whole
It's
nother.
yes, it's nutritious as well, but it's a whole entire consciousness, and like you said, it
Yes.
does involve, the animal, the love for animals, and the not wanting to be
Yes.
cruel to animals and that sort of thing. So we just want you
Yes.
guys to understand that. But we're winding down on our time, so we
All
got
right.
a few more points that we want to make. So we did share some useful strategies with you guys, and so if you are just joining us, and you can rewind and go back, and you can see those useful strategies. And we have An announcement. We have a big announcement to make. So you see us with our we twinning with our Melanin Matters shirts on. And so Melanin Matters
Yes.
is a movement that was created to shine a light or to highlight Black bodies in the Pilates industry because it's dominated, by a culture that doesn't necessarily openly welcome us into those wellness spaces. So this was motivated. I was motivated to create this movement. It really started off as a project and it just morphed into this movement. And so I want to make sure that our bodies are in those safe wellness spaces where we can freely breathe, move, and thrive. So I want to amplify that we have a right on the mat, right? We have a rightful place on the mat and we belong there. And so, along this journey, just like the conversation that we just had, so along with our skincare, with our hair care, and with what we're eating, and the life with the way that we're resting, all sorts of things involving our self care, our melanin does matter. And with the mattering of the melanin, why not partner with an organic skincare brand that's going to make sure that our melanin is popping? So today, you're hearing it now, you're hearing it here that Flawless and Brown is the official skin care provider for the Melanin Matters movement. Oh yeah. Right, 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 right. So if you come to any of our events, I mean, yes, you'll see it's going to be, both brands are going to be highlighted. We're gonna grow this thing, and we're going to be worldwide. We're going to be worldwide with this thing because it is important that the people understand, especially in the Pilates industry, that we belong there. We're there and we're getting things done. Our bodies deserve that same benefit from the Pilates exercises that any other body, but our bodies are different, and that's just the bottom line. Like there's no, like we just talked about this whole past hour, there is no cookie cutter approach to making our bodies fit into a mold. Now I'll say this as a Pilates teacher, I am true to the original method, the Pilates method, but I also understand that Black bodies are physically made a little bit differently, and what needs to happen is there are some adjustments that need to be made to make sure that we can connect with those exercises, and that's what Melanin Matters is all about. So that's what's on the horizon for us. So what's on the horizon for Flawless and Brown, the brand?
To align ourselves with other businesses, other organizations, and other spaces that is here to support the same idea. Flawless and Brown is exactly what it says. We're trying to help you be the best version of your brown self. I was just talking about this the other day. I think what we do well as Black creators is when we make something, we make it for us, but anybody can fit into us. It's really hard for us to fit into everybody else. And so I'm making product that has brown a part of the label because I am here to help our skin be the best version of it that it can be. But this product has helped white skin. This product has helped, you know, um, all type of skin colors, all type of shades of brown, because we're all just a big spectrum of brown. If you look at our logo, it goes from dark to light, and then it goes from thin to thick because we are a variation. We are not
Hmm.
just one typical body shape. We're not one skin tone. We're not one of anything. We are all a mix of everything. And so we just want to make sure that we are branding ourselves appropriately. We want everybody to be able to fit into our brand and what we have to offer. So that's what we have going on. We are excited about this partnership. We are excited to get the product in front of new people, in front of new faces, and on skin worldwide, to be able to provide something that can be a part of your lifestyle, that can help elevate your self-care routine. That's our whole goal. So we're